Under a Manhattan sky still damp from the rain, Alexander Vale, 34, CEO of Vale and Hunt Publishing, waits in a discreet cafe behind a century-old bookstore. The scent of cinnamon, old books, and espresso fills the air. Alexander, precise and methodical, has lived in an emotional fortress since the loss of his fiancée in an accident 5 years ago. This meeting, arranged by his friend Clara, who praised a stylish model, feels like a chore. At 3:10 p.m., he is ready to leave, annoyed by the delay. But instead of the sophisticated woman he expected, another enters, Jessica Carter, 27, a single mother, holding her feverish daughter Amy against her hip. Her blonde hair is in a messy bun, her light blue dress wrinkled. Jessica, a former teacher laid off due to budget cuts, believes she is meeting an employer for a job recommended by a friend. Confused and exhausted, she sits across from Alexander, softly apologizing. "My daughter is sick. I hope that's okay." He wants to correct the mistake, to say she has the wrong table, but the image of Jessica holding Amy stops him. He stays silent, handing her napkins. Jessica, thinking she is in an interview, talks about her past as a teacher, her dreams of a classroom for underprivileged children, her odd jobs at the bakery, and as a tutor. Her voice, sincere, trembles slightly. Alexander listens, motionless, fascinated by her authenticity. Amy coughs. He asks the waiter for hot water, a simple but unexpected gesture. Jessica, surprised, thanks him. 2 days after this chance meeting, Alexander Vale, accustomed to solitude, cannot shake Jessica Carter from his thoughts. Sitting in his empty office, he recalls her face marked by fatigue, her dignity in the face of adversity. He contacts his assistant, Lauren, and asks her to discreetly investigate. The next day, Lauren returns with a report. Jessica, 27, a former teacher, laid off, lives in Brooklyn with Amy, 3, in a modest apartment, juggling a job at a bakery and tutoring, with no criminal record, almost invisible online. She's barely surviving, Lauren concludes. Alexander nods, impassive, but an idea begins to take root. That evening, he drafts an email from a rarely used personal address. "Dear Miss Carter, following our conversation, I propose a 1-week collaboration as a freelance editor on a children's literature manuscript. Paid position, remote." Jessica, reading this message late at night, is perplexed. Is it pity? The respectful tone of the email convinces her to respond. The next day, a manuscript arrives, a sweet story about a bear learning about friendship. Jessica reads, annotates, suggests adjustments. Page 12. The bear's reaction is too mature for a 6-year-old. Simplify the dialogue. Her notes are precise, humble, full of empathy for young readers. Alexander, reading them, is impressed by their clarity and lack of ego. Over the week, her modifications enhance the narrative, smoother dialogues, more genuine emotions. In the end, he invites her to meet the editorial team. Jessica, nervous, puts on her cleanest blouse and a worn cardigan. Leaving Amy with a neighbor, she enters the publishing house, intimidated but determined. In the bright meeting room, an editor compliments her notes. "You understand children, not just how to sell to parents." Alexander, at the end of the table, meets her gaze, his expression softer than usual. Jessica, moved, feels for the first time that she is seen for her skills, not as a burden to be saved. This recognition, fragile yet real, marks a turning point, planting the seed of a connection that transcends the initial misunderstanding. In the following weeks, coincidences bring Alexander and Jessica closer. At the public library, he sees them twice. Jessica reading dragon and starfish stories to Amy, her soft voice captivating the little girl. Amy laughs, her golden curls dancing, her fingers pointing at the colorful illustrations. A third time, in Riverside Park, Alexander, on a stroll, sees them on a picnic blanket, sharing hot cocoa. Their world seems simple, peaceful, far from his structured universe. Then, in an old bookstore, he hears Amy's laughter. The mischievous little girl calls him the book man. Jessica, embarrassed, apologizes. She associates you with books. Alexander smiles. Maybe books attract good people. Amy insists he join their reading. Jessica hesitates, then agrees. 10 minutes. Sitting on the carpet, Alexander reads in a deep, calm voice, captivating Amy, who leans against him as if it were natural. Jessica watches, silent, her gaze warmer, as if trust is being born. A week later, a storm breaks out in the East Village. Alexander, coming out of a meeting, spots Jessica and Amy huddled under an awning, soaked. Amy shivers. Jessica holds her tightly. Without hesitation, he stops, lowers his window. Get in. Jessica, proud, wants to refuse, but a cough from Amy convinces her. In the car, Alexander hands over a blanket, adjusts the heating, and asks, "Home?" Jessica nods. As the relationship between Alexander and Jessica begins to take shape, doubts arise. Kelly, Alexander's loyal assistant, watches his change in attitude with suspicion. For years, she has protected his time, his image, and, she says, his heart. One day, she warns him, Jessica is too nice. People like her, who survive, always plan, even without malice. Alexander furrows his brow, but her words plant a seed of doubt. Determined, Kelly visits Jessica's modest building in Brooklyn, nestled between a laundromat and a pawn shop. Through a foggy window, she sees Jessica and Amy tinkering, their laughter genuine. Near the mailboxes, she finds a folded page, a children's book project by Jessica, featuring drawings of a fox and a phrase, "Even small stories deserve to be told." Kelly photographs the page and shows it to Alexander, suggesting that Jessica is manipulating him. Alexander's expression darkens. In the following days, his emails to Jessica become brief, warm notes vanish, and invitations to collaborate cease. Jessica feels this change immediately. Amy asks, why doesn't the book man read anymore? With a heavy heart, Jessica smiles. He might be busy. But one afternoon, she spots a woman, Kelly, photographing their building before getting into a black sedan. Her stomach knots. That night, unable to sleep, Jessica doubts. Has she hoped too much? Was it real? The next day, she writes a letter, folds it carefully, and drops it at the editorial office without asking to see anyone. In a freezing rain, Alexander stands alone, without a driver or an umbrella, in front of Jessica's dilapidated building in Queens. His wool coat is soaked, his steps leaving wet marks on the creaking stairs. In front of apartment 3B, he hesitates, then knocks 3 times. No answer. Then, light footsteps. Jessica opens the door, wearing a worn sweatshirt, her hair in a messy braid, a dishcloth in hand. Her eyes widen. "What are you doing here?" she asks. Alexander, drenched and vulnerable, replies, "I needed to talk, without emails, without lawyers, without fear." Jessica stands still, but does not close the door. He continues, "I thought I wanted perfection, someone without complications. But I was wrong. I need someone real, who wipes her daughter's tears with her sleeve and still smiles at the world." Jessica, frozen, listens. I let fear speak for me, the suspicion of another becoming my voice. You asked for nothing, just gave honesty, and I failed to return it. He pulls out a wet canvas bag containing a contract to publish his first children's book with full editorial support. Jessica looks at the bag, then at him. A peace offering? A beginning, he replies. The rain lashes against the balcony. Jessica, uncertain but touched, takes the bag. Their fingers brush, neither pulls back. In this silence, something shifts. Not a fairy tale, but two people, one full of regrets, the other finally seen. 3 months later, a small yellow building, once a dilapidated warehouse, opens at the corner of Maple and Fifth, the listening library. The shelves are secondhand, the beanbags mismatched, but the books, chosen by Jessica, overflow with love. Every weekend, neighborhood children gather there, listening to Jessica read stories of dragons and brave girls. Alexander, discreet, sits at the back, not as CEO, but as a listener. Amy, the junior librarian, welcomes the children with hugs. The community grows, book donations, volunteers, a fridge of free juice. On a Saturday afternoon, the listening library is filled with children sitting cross-legged, captivated by Jessica reading an illustrated book. Amy, beside her, dozes off. A little girl, Leah, 8 years old, hesitates at the door, clutching a stuffed rabbit. Silent since her father's departure, she timidly steps forward. Jessica, calm, invites her. Leah, would you like to read this page? The silence freezes the room. Leah approaches, looks at the book, and whispers, Mom says I can't read, but Miss Jessica says the letters will come to me if I listen. Exclamations, and then applause erupt. Jessica, without crying, opens her arms. Leah snuggles in. In the back, Alexander looks away, a tear rolling down his cheek that he hides with a hand. No cameras, no speeches, just a yellow library, a little girl speaking, and a woman planting hope. Later, outside, near the sunflowers, Jessica hands Alexander a card written by Amy. Thank you for believing in Mom. His eyes shine. He doesn't speak, but his gaze says it all. This moment, simple, transcends words. A year later, the library celebrates its first anniversary. Children and parents fill the room, hand-drawn balloons float. Jessica, nervous, thanks the crowd. This place started with doubts, but it has become a home. The listening library becomes a beacon for the neighborhood. Every weekend, children flock in, drawn by Jessica's stories, which she reads with a warmth that makes their eyes shine. The shelves, filled with donations, overflow with carefully chosen tales. Amy, proud in her junior librarian scarf, hands out smiles and hugs, ensuring that every child leaves with a bit of joy. The parents, initially curious, stay, touched by the inclusive atmosphere. Volunteers repaint the walls, a neighbor offers a fridge for free juices, and the community grows, united by this place where everyone matters. Alexander, always at the back, listens without drawing attention, his role discreet yet constant. He is no longer the distant CEO, but a man who finds meaning in these simple moments. Jessica, meanwhile, radiates, transforming each reading into a refuge for shy or struggling children. Her past as a teacher comes alive here, without budget or constraints, just with her heart. One day, a rowdy boy, Malik, refuses to sit down. Jessica, patient, offers him a book about a brave pirate. Just read one page, you'll see. Malik, defiant, reads, then stays until the end, fascinated. This small triumph invisible to the world, is a victory for Jessica. Alexander, a witness, feels a growing admiration. He begins to understand that his orderly life lacked this spontaneity, this humanity. Every reading at the Library of Listening is a small victory. Jessica, with her gentle voice and patient gestures, transforms weary children into captivated listeners. One day, a little girl named Sarah, who stutters, dares to read a sentence aloud. The room applauds. Sarah blushes but smiles. Jessica, without fanfare, slips her a decorated bookmark. You are stronger than you think. These discreet moments build a refuge where children feel seen. Alexander, always at the back, notes every detail, how Jessica encourages without pushing, how she turns fear into hope. He begins to write, not contracts, but personal notes on what he observes, as if he wants to capture this magic. Amy, with her overflowing energy, becomes the unofficial mascot, guiding newcomers to the colorful beanbags. One Saturday, she hands a book to Alexander. Read this one. There's a fox like in your story. He laughs, reads, and the children listen, hypnotized by his deep voice. Jessica, watching from the side, feels a new warmth. Their bond, born from a misunderstanding, grows in these shared moments. Yet, Kelly persists in her doubts, sending an email to Alexander. She's manipulating you with her daughter. Wake up. Alexander, annoyed, ignores the message. He thinks back to Jessica's letter, to her raw sincerity. One evening, after a reading, he stays to help tidy up. Jessica, exhausted, confides in him. I don't know if I'm doing enough. A year after the opening of the Listening Library, the small yellow room is bursting with life. Children are piled on the floor, parents line the walls, and hand-drawn balloons float under a secondhand fan. It's the first anniversary of this unlikely place, born from a dilapidated shed and a tenacious dream. Jessica, nervous, takes the floor. Thank you for being here, week after week, to read, listen, and believe that stories are for everyone. Her voice trembles, but her smile is sincere. The crowd applauds, moved. Amy, with her junior librarian scarf, beams with pride. Alexander, in a casual shirt, stands up, holding a package wrapped in craft paper. I thought about flowers, but you've already sown enough, he says, triggering light laughter. Jessica unwraps the package, a bound book, Chapter 2, Us, with a phrase on the first page. We did not start with perfection, but we can continue with honesty. Tears well up in her eyes. Amy, laughing, hugs her. You look pretty when you cry, Mom. The room laughs warmly. Alexander extends his hand. Jessica, without hesitation, takes it. This simple gesture seals a bond built on misunderstandings transformed into truth. The weeks leading up to this anniversary have seen the library thrive. Children like Leah, once silent, now read aloud. Parents, initially skeptical, become volunteers. Alexander, faithful at the back of the room, is no longer the distant CEO, but a man who finds meaning in this joyful chaos. Kelly, though still wary, softens, recognizing Jessica's authenticity. The story of Alexander and Jessica, which began with a misunderstanding in a cafe, is now being written in the pages of the Listening Library. This place, with its yellow walls and shelves filled with love, is more than a library. It is a refuge where children find their voice, where parents regain hope, and where two lost souls have found each other. Every weekend, Jessica reads, her voice weaving dreams for children like Leah, Malik, or Sarah, who learn that their stories matter. Amy, radiant, guides newcomers, her laughter lighting up the room. Alexander, in the back, listens, his role discreet yet essential. He is no longer the man who fled hope, but the one who embraces it, one step at a time. Their relationship, without fireworks, has been built on simple gestures: a blanket in the rain, a hand extended, a book given. Jessica, once invisible, has become a force, not through ambition, but through her ability to give without expecting anything in return. Alexander, freed from his fortress, learns to live without calculation. One day, as the library closes, Amy runs to him. "Are you staying with us, bookman?" He looks at Jessica, who smiles softly. "If he wants to." He nods, and that nod says it all. The community continues to grow. Local schools offer workshops, booksellers make donations, and the library becomes a model for other neighborhoods. Kelly, convinced by Jessica's authenticity, gets involved, bringing supplies. The story of Jessica and Alexander, relayed in a local newspaper, inspires a single mother and a CEO who, together, transformed a warehouse into a place of magic. At the end of the year, during a reading, Jessica and Alexander stand side by side, their hands brushing, not yet a couple in the classic sense, but partners in a larger story.